is the audience.
I remember when I was a little kid at age 7. Although I was young, I loved baseball with a passion. One day, my dad and I were watching television whenever ESPN cut in and said that Alex Rodriguez had been caught using steroids. At this time, I was young and I did not really understand what it meant whenever they said he was caught using performance-enhancing drugs. He was the type of player that I wanted to be when I grew up. The media was flooded with stories of him confessing to using steroids, and his image in my eyes had tarnished greatly whenever my father explained what steroids actually were. Steroids are more than just performance enhancers. Steroid usage in sports is cheating, and effects of steroid usage are much more than just big muscles and better performance on the playing field. Steroids are any of a large class of organic compounds with a characteristic molecular structure containing 4 rings of carbon atoms. They include many hormones, alkaloids, and vitamins. If you look past the big muscles, you might come to realize that the effects of steroids greatly outweigh the success rates. Unlike all other drugs, all steroid-based hormones have one thing in common. The dangers of these drugs may not show up for months, years, or possibly even decades. This means that while taking the drugs, you may not notice the negative effects in your body right away. Many athletes who take steroids can become addicted and actually have withdrawals similar to those who are addicted to harsh drugs like cocaine. Studies that have been performed by doctors all over the United States have shown that the use of steroids leads to a drop in testosterone levels. A drop in testosterone levels is not something you would want to happen. According to everydayhealth.com, using steroids causes the testes in the bodies to shut down their testosterone production. This effect can actually turn out to be permanent even after quitting their steroids. It is proven that many bodybuilders have had this very problem after using steroids, and the testes in their body never started working properly again. As I mentioned earlier, the effects may not be evident until after using the drug for quite some time. Dr. Wadler from New York University School of Medicine says that steroid usage in adolescence may cause the growth plates to close. Once that happens, the growth plates are never able to reopen, causing the person's growth to come to a halt. This is also known as stunting growth. Steroids also greatly affect the brain in many different ways. The steroids act in the limbic part of the human brain and may cause aggressive behavior towards people you are normally nice to, and it may even cause a roid rage, causing the user to have violent outbursts at any time without warning. Steroids also have a long history of causing chemical imbalance in the brain that causes suicidal thoughts and depression. Studies done by Brown University have also said that steroids may confuse the brain. For example, anabolic steroids may actually completely change the messages that your brain is trying to send to your body. This could very well cause females to grow facial hair, lose hair from the scalp, and have a deepened voice, and it may cause males to grow breasts. Steroids cause horrible acne, and not to mention that now, scientists believe that anabolic steroids have the ability to make cancer cells form and grow. That alone is enough to scare me away from steroid usage. Your body is your temple. Try caring for it in other ways like working out, eating a healthy diet, and taking vitamins. The success of steroids is not worth the risk and the side effects that they cause, and more athletes and bodybuilders and even everyday people need to know the risk. Is it really worth it? All steroid use in all levels of sports is strictly prohibited. If you are brave enough to take steroids while participating in sports, then I hope you are brave enough to accept the consequences whenever you are caught. Steroids were outlawed in the United States on January 20th, 2005. Now do not confuse steroids that a doctor gives you when you are ill. Anabolic steroids are completely different and are the steroids that are illegal. It is unfair to those players who work extra hard to be good at whatever sport they play when there are players who are using illegal drugs to do the same thing. If anyone watched the Olympics this summer, you may remember hearing about how angry the United States women's swimmers were because a Russian swimmer failed her drug test and tested positive for steroids, but was still allowed to swim at the summer games. Everyone viewed the Russian swimmer as a cheater. The athletes who work countless hours year after year to make it to the Olympics were infuriated that an athlete using steroids could still compete. Using steroids is cheating and nothing less than that. It does not really take scientific evidence to prove it. If you are caught, be prepared to pay the consequences and possibly ruin your reputation. Not only do steroids have major health effects on your body, but if caught, they could also have major effects on your image and your reputation. People may begin to view you as a cheater. Cheating is never okay, especially when the use of drugs are involved. The consequences of steroid usage in all levels of sports are very serious. For example, if you're a high school athlete and you're caught using steroids, all of the games your team won prior to when you were caught must be forfeited, including state titles and other titles as well. You and your team will have all of your victories stripped from your hands. In pro sports, when you are caught, you must pay a very hefty fine, and you are suspended for at least one whole season. Sometimes, people are even kicked off of the teams that they play for. Whenever Barry Bonds and A-Rod were caught using steroids, they had to pay a fine up to $25 million, and each were both suspended for 2 seasons. Once again, before using steroids, ask yourself if it is really worth all the risk. After hearing this speech, I truly hope that you have come to realize just how bad anabolic steroids really are. The risks are far too serious. By taking anabolic steroids, you are putting your body in serious danger, and it is possible that your body cannot recover from it. No 50-year-old woman wants to have facial hair, and no 50-year-old man wants to have breasts from using steroids when they were younger. I'm positive that no person would want to have serious brain damage from using something to make their muscles bigger. Athletes are going to have to learn to look past the quick route to huge muscles and see the awful things that these drugs can do. Instead, they need to learn to be dedicated enough to their sport or whatever they are competing in and find other natural ways to get stronger. As I stated earlier, using steroids in sports and cheating, and the effects are much more than just big muscles and enhanced performance on the playing field. Thank you.